Go live today to make some cookies because I didn't have the energy to really show how I made any of the cookies on the past videos. I've sort of showed the dough and put the recipe up. So I thought I'd show you guys a little bit of the cookie making process, especially how it has been at this house over this year because my KitchenAid has been out of commission. So because my KitchenAid has been out of commission, I've been doing a lot by hand. So I thought I will come online and make some cookies with you guys, and you can see how we make cookies. So the cookie I'm going to make today first is a Snickerdoodle. I'm making this cookie first because it has absolutely no nuts in it, and I don't want any nuts. Why are you crying? The doggy's crying. I don't know if she sees somebody outside or something or what. We'll see if she needs something. But anyway, I'm making a Snickerdoodle today. And I'm making that first with no nuts because I have someone in the family allergic to nuts. And I want to make sure I make a cookie that's safe for them, because every other cookie that I have made this year has had nuts in it. So that wasn't very nice for them. So we are today making a nut-free cookie, and we have decided that variety will be Snickerdoodle. And so, as many of you cookie makers know, the first step in making a delicious cookie is creaming together your butter and your sugar. So the Snickerdoodle recipe calls for 1 cup of butter, which is 2 sticks. Each stick is 4 ounces, so 2 sticks is 8 ounces. 8 ounces is a cup, so that's in there. The Snickerdoodle recipe calls for more sugar than my other cookie recipe. My other cookie recipe calls for 1 cup sugar. The Snickerdoodle recipe calls for, I think it's 1 1/3 cup. Let me open up that window on my iPad. Oh, wow, 1 1/2 cup sugar. So this calls for a lot more sugar than my fruit and nut or fruitcake cookie recipe. And my guess is because my fruitcake cookies have a lot of sugar from the fruit in them. So that would be my guess. So let me get the right, I didn't realize I would need 1/2 cup. So let me get that. And as you guys know, one of the nice tricks to good cookies is getting your sugar and your butter nice and fluffy when they're whisked together. So we are going to do that. I hope these cookies aren't too sweet. I'm a little hesitant to put in the whole 1 1/2 cups of sugar that the recipe calls for. I'm not a big fan of a super sweet cookie, but here goes nothing. 1 1/2 cups of sugar. And we will hope for the best. And now, since the mixer's down, I start creaming. And I usually either start with the potato masher or a fork or something like that. So I thought this would be a good video to do because a lot of people do these videos where they're making cookies and they have a lot of equipment at their disposal. And so I'm going to show how you can make these cookies without a lot of equipment, because my equipment happens to not be working now. So I have my butter, which is softened, and I didn't use a microwave. I just let it sit out overnight. That's how I softened my butter, and have my sugar here. And now I'm going to take a fork and start mushing the butter into the sugar. That's going to be the first step in creaming together the butter and the sugar. So, and because we're not using a mixer, it is going to take a little muscle to do this. So I'm going to try to show you without it spilling out. But I'm just basically breaking down the butter into the sugar. me see, I can do this. I'm breaking down the butter into the sugar. So this is how we are doing this without a mixer or anything like that. You know, we just let the butter sit out overnight so it could get soft. So we didn't need to use even a microwave to soften the butter. And now we are just mixing this together. Now this is going to take a good 5 minutes anyway to get this into a consistency where the butter and sugar are mixed together very well. So I'm going to keep going like this and talking to you guys. And if anybody is here with me today and wants to put a comment and let me know where you're from, and if you're interested in learning how to cook with limited equipment, and if you also have dogs that bark and annoy you while you're trying to do cooking videos. I would love a cookie recipe, and if you look at this channel, you will find that my community section is open. If you subscribe to this channel, you can leave a community message with any recipes. I have a dear friend from Iran that comes on, and he's going to put some recipes on, and I'm going to learn how to make some things from Iran. So I'm so excited about that. Ooh, strawberry cookies sound delicious. These are going to be Snickerdoodles for someone in the family who's allergic to nuts. And every cookie I made this year had at least almonds in it. So I was not, you know, a great cookie maker for that person. So that's why today we are making these Snickerdoodles. So we have reached the stage now where the butter and the sugar are fully incorporated together. However, a mixer is going to fluff this up more, right? And we want our cookies to come out like professionals, even though we don't have the mixer. So I'm going to use a little bit of this and a whisk, and I'm going to whisk it up now. And this will fluff. It's not going to be, you know, the same as if a mixer did it or something like that. And because I don't have all that strength, but it will get like in a lot better shape, and it will get fluffier and more consistent. And your cookies will come out just like somebody who made them using a stand mixer. Trust me. Even if you only have the strength to do this for like 2 minutes, which is basically me because of I'm in chemo, which is why I look like this. I don't even bother with makeup because, you know, with chemo. You can comment on the community page as well. I have my community page unlocked so that anybody who is a subscriber can also post to my community page. So, oh yeah, chocolate chip cookies are big around here. But unfortunately, chocolate chips with walnuts are not nut-free. So that didn't work out so well. So, okay, so now we have this is creamed together. If it was done with a mixer, it would be a little fluffier, but this is plenty fluffy, and the cookies will come out delicious. We now want to add our vanilla extract in these cookies. So I'm going to add that, and I believe it also calls for 2 eggs, yeah. So we're going to add 2 eggs, which I've had sitting out overnight as well. So what I did was I took the eggs and the butter for the cookies, and I just put them to sit out overnight. I have more butter because I'm going to be making my famous fruit and nut cookies. If I have the energy after this, I don't know. The whisking's a bit hard, so I'm going to add the eggs and the vanilla, and then we're going to whisk again. So, Happy New Year! Hi, Pam! Oh, hi, Pam. I hope that everyone's doing well in your family and that you and Ralph are having a great new year. How to find my page. So if you click on me, like Kelly's Journey, then it'll show like tabs. And if you see one that says Community tab, that's where you can put stuff. Anybody who is a subscriber can post on my community page. And I encourage you to post two things. One is prayer requests. If there is anything going on in your life that you need prayer or support for, please feel free to post there. I will lift you up and support you. The second thing is if you have a recipe that you would like me to try and make, I would love to do that. So feel free to put recipes and prayer requests on there and lift each other up. That's what we're here for. There's so many things trying to push us down. We are here to lift each other up, right? So I'm adding 2 eggs, and I'm also going to add the vanilla extract. And like I said, I kept the eggs and butter out overnight so that they would be room temperature for baking. That is fine. In America, that is fine. The eggs will stay good overnight. They are processed to the point where they'll be good overnight, and the butter as well. I mean, the butter is all fat, so that will stay good. I need to wash my hands since I just cracked eggs. I'll be right back. So my husband bought me a microphone so that you can hear me when I go around the kitchen, but I had to charge it up, so I couldn't use it for today. But I'm looking forward to that so that you guys will be able to hear me better. How do I feel? I feel great about leaving 2025 because like I've been through like a lot of cancer treatments and stuff, and I'm really hopeful for 2026. I just put about 2 teaspoons of vanilla in there. That my health will improve and I'll continue to get better. So I'm feeling good about leaving 2025 actually. And I'm hoping that a lot of positive changes happen, because a lot of negative changes seemed to happen in 2025 where like a lot of people got hurt, like, you know, lost access to maybe to medication or food or something that they need. And I didn't like seeing that. It was really upsetting and hurtful to me. And trying to figure out how to help was also... Okay, you know what? Yeah, if you want to put it in the comments, the recipe, I will, after I post the video up, I can go through the comments as it live and write it down. But I'll look after though on the, like when I repost it, and then I will write down the recipe and I can add it to the community page if you can't. So I am now just whisking in the eggs and vanilla into the butter and the sugar, and we're whisking that really well, and we're using a lot of strength. Unfortunately, it's I'm not in great shape for this because of the chemo and stuff, but normal healthy people should be able to make cookies without a stand mixer. And yes, I do have this many kids, and I just adopted a second dog, so now that it's all well combined, as you can see. And let's see what else we need. So the next thing is we're going to take our dry ingredients, put them together, and then mix our wet ingredients into our dry ingredients and form our cookies. So our wet ingredients, just to repeat, were 2 sticks or 1 cup of softened butter, 1.5 cups sugar, which is a little bit more sugar than I would personally put in my cookie recipe that I would create. Because I don't like my cookies that sweet, but we're going to see how these turn out. 2 eggs and vanilla. That's what's in the wet ingredients. All right, now this bowl, we're going to put together our dry ingredients, which are going to start with our flour. And also, this recipe calls for something a little different than normal cookie recipes, and that's a little cream of tartar. And again, this is a Snickerdoodle recipe. I have multiple myeloma. So it's a cancer of the bone marrow that affects your immune system. And last year I had a bone marrow transplant. And so that's why next year in 2026, I'm hoping will be even better. So I'm going to get the flour, which is 2 3/4 cup of flour, the cream of tartar, and then they also call for some leavening in these cookies. Some cookies don't leaven. They don't have you put in like baking soda or salt, but these cookies call for some baking soda and also some salt for flavor. Now, these cookies called for unsalted butter, and I use salted butter. So I'm just going to cut down the salt a little bit that the recipe calls for. That's all. So just little things that just so you know, probably a lot of you guys know to do this, but I just like to say everything because you never know. It could be a college student who's never cooked before who's watching or something. So I like to say everything when I'm cooking. So this recipe calls for 2 3/4 cups flour, which is a little less flour than I usually would use for a cup of butter. So we're going to see. Oh, it's going to be interesting how these cookies come out because I'm following a recipe that's a little bit different than how I would make it. So we'll see if I'm like, wow, these are better, or if I'm disappointed. So what do I have here? I have a 1/2 cup measure. So we can use this. I need 2 3/4 cups. So that's a 1/2. Let me see what people are saying. I think I answered everything so far. Where is everybody coming in from? I have one friend that comes in from Iran that I told you about, who I'm hoping will give me some good recipes. I'm hoping everything's okay with him because I saw there was some like upheavals and stuff there, but you know, it's a big country, so it's probably not anywhere near him. And I've had people join from Ireland. That has been super cool. And you know what I'm super excited to learn about is recipes from other areas of other countries, you know? Like I'm excited to show like how we do things here in America, and also how my Arab heritage did things. So I'm, you know, really excited to do that. And then though I want to also learn, how to make all kinds of things like curries. I'm going to hold out a little bit of flour just for now, and we're going to see how the dough comes together, and I can always add more flour. So that's a trick you can do when making cookies, is you can hold out a 1/4 cup of flour just to make sure your cookie dough isn't too dry. You can always add that 1/4 cup back in, and that will help you make sure that your cookies don't come out too dry. Because, you know, eggs are not a precise measurement. Yet one person's large egg may be a little bit larger than someone else's egg. So you want to make sure you have the right proportions of wet to dry. My dear, my doggy had a little sneezing attack. I'm going to check on him. Okay, so now because this is a Snickerdoodle recipe, it calls for cream of tartar. So we're going to add that. And it says 1 to 1.5 teaspoons, depending on how tart you want them. So I'm just going to add 1 teaspoon because I don't think we want them that tart. It's interesting that the cream of tartar is going to make them tart. So I'm going to add 1 teaspoon cream of tartar to the flour. I'm trying not to get it so that it goes. You know how when you're trying to fill the spoon and then all of a sudden a big clump comes out and it overflows the spoon and you're like, ah! Yeah, that was what I was hoping to not do. And I just got by. I think I got by without doing it. I have a little hump there, but because I have some emptiness on the sides, I think I'm okay. But yeah, that's the story of my life. I'm like dumping it out ever so carefully onto the spoon and then flump. I know there's a better way to do it, but let's see, what else does it say? It says to use 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. So let me grab that. 1/2 teaspoon baking soda. We just got a package delivered.
You got a purple bathroom.
Ooh!
I'm gonna put it in the wash.
Thank you. And I got a new bathrobe in the mail. And now it calls for 3/4 of a teaspoon salt. So I'm going to do like a little more than half a teaspoon of salt because I use the salted butter. So that's how I handle it. I don't bother getting unsalted butter when I bake. Once in a while I have, but usually I don't. I just adjust the salt down just a touch in the recipe. It all seems to work out just fine. And you know what? With the way people love salt in America, I don't think anyone with salted butter and using the same amount of salt in the recipe, probably no one would notice. Okay, so I'm going to mix these dry ingredients up. The dry ingredients again were salt and baking soda for rising. The eggs also will help it rise. I usually don't put like a baking soda in a cookie, but I guess some people do. You guys tell me, do you guys put baking soda in cookies? Oh, okay. So the breed of both my dogs is technically called mixed. So the one dog we just adopted not long ago, and we have no idea what she is, but she's about 20 pounds, and she has white, black, and brown on her. And if I can grab her, I'll show you her. And then my other dog is also called mixed, but we did a one of those dog DNA tests, and she's the Catahoula, she's like a Catahoula hound, which like does herding and stuff, and she's also part pit bull, and she had some terrier in her and stuff like that. So yeah, they're both mixes. And I also have a cat who's a mix but looks like a Russian gray. So you put baking soda in? I guess maybe I'll do that more often in my cookies. I don't know why I don't bother. I figure the eggs will leaven them enough. And they seem to, but yeah, we'll see how this comes out. So I just took all my dry ingredients and put them together. Now I'm going to mix them into my wet ingredients. And we're going to see what kind of consistency we have and if we need to add a little more flour or how things look. And then these are Snickerdoodles, so we're going to have to make a nice cinnamon sugar topping for them. So I'm so glad that you guys are with me today as I do this baking. And oh, my job right now, I'm on disability because of having the bone marrow transplant. I was in the hospital for like 3 weeks with that. Went bald. If you look back at my channel, I started my channel about a little more like a year and 2 months ago, and it talks all about like my sickness and stuff. And so I had to go out on disability to fight the cancer. I started fighting the cancer in 2018, believe it or not. And then by 2022, I got so sick that I couldn't keep working and fight the cancer at the same time. So by that time, I went out on disability. And I've been getting disability payments since, thankfully. Well, because I've been having, I couldn't imagine. I don't know, people would not have any patience for me anymore with how much I would have had to call out sick. But I was grateful that I was able to work as long as I was able to while going through treatment. Unfortunately, multiple myeloma is one of those cancers that they say doesn't have a cure. But they are coming up with some treatments now that people have been in remission for like years. And unfortunately, I was expecting and hoping to get into remission after my transplant. And I was in remission, but only for about 2 months. And now I'm back into chemo treatments and etc. But I'm grateful that my chemo treatments are about only 6 weeks. So this dough is coming together really nicely. It's really becoming doughy. And I still have 1/3 of my flour mixture to put in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this whisk out of here because this whisk is just going to make a mess from this point on. And then I'm going to be mixing with a spatula as I mix in the rest of the dry ingredients. But I'm sure glad I kept that extra quarter cup of flour out, because I think this dough is going to be plenty stiff enough without that extra flour. So, where is there, I'd love to hear where people are from. I'm going to go back and look. I saw a strawberry cookie recipe when I post this. As soon as after the live goes down, YouTube immediately makes it private, and then I can make it public, but the comments that were made during the live won't show up for like 24 hours. But then I can see the recipe. So just if you don't see your recipe posted for a while, don't feel like I've ignored you. It takes, oh my gosh. So I am I am right outside of there. Like, I'm trying to think where. York, PA is not that far from here. I guess it's like a couple hours from here. So I'm off of exit 30. Oh, it used to be called 31. So the closest exit to me is the Lansdale exit of the turnpike. So that tells you we're actually like 2 hours away from each other over the whole internet. We are literally 2 hours away from each other. That's crazy. So, yeah. I'm outside of Philadelphia, and I'm not like technically in Lansdale. I'm like out like in the Hatfield, like, kind of area. So, but technically, yeah, the Lansdale exit is how you would get to me. That's so cool. The whole wide internet. Now, have you been on, what's my favorite? My favorite cookie to bake is my fruitcake cookies that I put the recipe on my community page. And I'll probably make those tomorrow because of having to like cream the flour and sugar and, not having a lot of energy. But I'll probably make those live tomorrow, my fruit and nut cookie recipe. That's my favorite cookies to make and to eat. And it's a really basic recipe with like a basic dough, like a sugar and butter dough. And sugar and butter dough. And then into that, I add whatever nuts I have on hand and whatever fruit, dried fruit chopped up I have on hand. And this year I made it with cherries, cranberries, and apricots for the fruit. And then one batch had pistachios in it, and then I took them out because I found out that was a problem for a family member. And the other batch had pecans and almonds because they were fine for everyone else, except for one family member who I'm now making snickerdoodles for. And my kids are in college, except for one who's out of college now. And the one who's out of college is one that I did not birth. So I have 2 children that I gave birth to and 2 children I did not give birth to. So, and I have 3 of them in college right now. So that's a bit of a strain. So, you never heard of what? The fruitcake cookie? If you haven't heard of it, it's because I made it up. It's my own recipe, and so I put it on my channel on my community page. And I love them. I gave them out to a lot of family members, and they asked for the recipe. So trust me, they're good, but they're addictive. We don't have any left, and I made about 60 cookies, I think, and we don't have any left. And I made them the day after Christmas was when I made the second batch. The day after Christmas. So on the 26th, I made cookies that there are none left of. So, and that's why I have to make more. This dough's coming together very nicely for these snickerdoodles. So once the snickerdoodle dough is all combined and it looks like it's looking good, I'm using a paddle now so that like the little dough bits don't get in everywhere. We can start forming cookies. And then I believe the recipe calls for us to flatten them down and put a cinnamon sugar over top. So what I usually do when I do these cookies live is I will keep out talking for as much as I'm up to it, and then I will go offline, finish up, and post pictures of the cookies. Now, I wish that I could also give you guys a smell and taste of the cookies. The dough actually smells good already. It smells really good. So I think I'm giving it the touch test. So one thing you want with cookie dough is you don't want it to be too sticky. And this might even be too sticky. Remember I kept that 1/4 of a cup of flour out. I'm going to add that in because I think this might even be too sticky. So I'm going to add that in. I'm going to mix it in, and then this dough is going to be done. And then we're going to start forming our cookies and getting them in the oven. I got the oven on 350. It said that these take 12 to 15 minutes to cook, I believe. Let me just check the iPad. I don't want to tell you wrong. I can post this recipe on my community page. Now, this Snickerdoodle recipe is not my recipe. So I will post where it came from and give credit where credit is due. It is from a website called Modern Honey. So I will post this recipe. I will let you know how these Snickerdoodles come out. No, I don't have a Pinterest account. The only thing I've done is this YouTube. And I started this YouTube to help people going through the bone marrow transplant and to help people with cancer. And now I just do things to bring people joy, to, to show people that are dealing with cancer that you can still do things that bring you joy, and how, come online, interact with people, get support. 90+ % of the population are beautiful, wonderful human beings with loving hearts. And I just I always like to, every time I come online, I always spend at least a minute or two sending out love. And I feel like that's just so important right now because we have all these bots and maybe 5 or 10% of people putting out such negativity. And so I just am in my little corner. I figure I'm making a difference, a little bit of difference. It's funny. You'll be scrolling through the YouTube shorts, and you'll see a lot of people say, I felt the spirit, or somebody led me, and I have to tell you this. And I, at first, would be like, who are you to say? And you know what? I bet it did in all of those cases. Because there may just be one person that needs to hear what that person is saying in that short. And spirit led them to say that and put out that short, and that one person will find it. So if you ever feel like you're being led to say something, but it's stupid and you feel like it's not important and, oh, who will want to listen to me? Go with your gut, just put it out there and say what you want to say. Because even if it's only for that one person, it's going to make a difference. That's right. God is good, and God is leading you to do something to help somebody, even if it's just one person. And that's why I do this. Even if just one person sees one of my videos and it makes them feel better that day, then it was worth it for me to do this. So as I'm going to finish up, so the dough is done. I'm going to be forming cookies, making them, and then I will post pictures and let you know how they taste in my community page. So let's finish up with just an open-hearted love in our community. I'm thinking about what I am grateful for. I am grateful for the people online in community that send love and support to others. I'm grateful for the wonderful people who make it a point to lift others up. I am so grateful for this beautiful earth and everything that it has provided for us. And it has provided literally everything for us. And I'm so grateful and I love all of you. Mwah. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you soon. Ooh, love to your cat, Oliver. Mwah. You can, like I said, if you want, post a picture of Oliver on my community page. Just all you have to do is subscribe, then you can post to the community page. All right, love you all. Bye.